Hey, it's your boy Scott coming at you live with another No, I don't actually talk like that. So this is going to be a really quick video on how to use Golden Arm effectively. These are a couple of tips and tricks that you probably know about. Maybe you might not know all of them, so I might learn something. If not, all good, whatever. Here we go. Alright, so perks. The obvious one is Golden Arm. You're going to need that. The second one you'll probably need is Leg Day because, I mean, basically everybody needs a Leg Day. And then the third one is kind of up to you. I prefer Stealthy. If I can get a free backstab off of it, I think that's worth it. But a lot of people like using Chemist with Orange Juice, the bullet damage reduction, running with knives. You can use whatever you want in the third perk. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the build that much. As far as airdrops, you're probably going to go with Boar Hunter, Javelinier, or honestly, you'll probably have so much funk at this point, you can just go for one of the gun airdrops like SWAT or Sniper or really whatever you want. The airdrop is not that important because you should have, you know, 4 or 5 weapons to be thrown pretty much at all times. So getting more from an airdrop is not that big of a deal. So honestly, if you want to go for like a gun or something huge, that's totally fine, but it's up to you. Alright, so once you're actually in a game, the first thing you want to do is make a crafted knife. Costs 2 funk, and it's up to 30 throwing damage with Golden Arm fully charged, and that is extremely good. I actually like making a couple of knives. If you have a bunch of rocks around, there's no reason to not make 2 or 3 knives, unless you're near a building and you can go loot, because you'll probably find, you know, better items than just a crafted knife. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, don't be afraid to make 2 or 3 knives. I mean, it's only 6 funk total, and you have literally 90 damage in throws right there. So definitely you want to have your inventory full at all times with anything you can throw. And if you can't find, if you don't have time to actually make any knives, you can always pick up rocks and branches. Those do about 10 damage a throw, and you don't actually have to charge them. Since they got nerfed, they do 10 damage pretty much no matter what with a Golden Arm throw. So probably the most important part is, how do you actually aim with thrown weapons in this game? Well, there is no crosshair, but there actually is an indicator that's not that obvious. The actual model of the hand while you're throwing, the index finger, kind of points directly to where you're going to be throwing it. So unless you want to put, like, you know, a piece of tape on your monitor or something like that. Hell, I used to do that in, like, Scouts and Knives maps and Counter-Strike. But if you don't want to do that, the index finger is a really good indicator. And this is not that bad because you can't throw that far in this game. It's deceptively short range, so the fact of the matter is you can really gauge where it's going to go based on the index finger because you're going to be throwing at relatively close ranges all the time. Another little example here, and the index finger is centered directly on him, and headshots are kind of irrelevant, so that's really all the accuracy you'll need. However, these have all been immobile targets, and hitting immobile targets is obviously way easier, so there is a little bit of leading in this game if you're trying to throw. They go really, really fast, but not very far. So you don't have to lead that much, but you certainly still do. So at about this range, it's probably about a centimeter of leading on your screen, and this obviously varies a little bit, but it's honestly pretty forgiving in this game. You can hit any part of their body and still get the full hit, so it's not that bad. So in terms of offensive strategy, the 180 jump throw is probably the best thing you can do. And this is really simple. It's just maintaining your momentum, jumping, and then turning around while your weapon is fully charged and throwing it directly behind you. It takes a little bit of a quick reaction, but it lets you maintain your distance between your opponent, and chances are they're not going to be blocking it because they're chasing you down hoping to get a backstab, so it really catches a lot of people off guard. Eventually people are going to learn how to counter this, but for now it does work very, very well. One of the main counters to Golden Arm is simply blocking, because blocking reduces thrown weapon damage by 50%. So that's why making the opponent believe that they're the aggressor so they won't be blocking is really, really important. And that's why the 180 jump is honestly a really good idea, because you need to make them think that they're chasing you when it's really kind of just part of your plan. So one of the biggest drawbacks to throwing weapons is that you lose your weapon, but the thing is, the time it takes to actually pick up a weapon is like instantaneous. You can't immediately block once you pick it up, so you need to pick your moments, but do not be afraid mid-fight to be scavenging the battlefield for the things that you've thrown. It's actually way quicker than you'd think, and it's very safe to do as long as you're, not directly in front of the opponent. If you gain any distance at all, you're totally fine to pick up items and just keep using them. Eventually, you might start losing things, and that does tend to happen when you're doing a thrown weapon build. There's not really any way to avoid it. You're going to lose some of your items because they're just going to fall through the world or just go underwater and you can't see them, but honestly, you should be cycling through so many people and so many items that it's not that big of a deal. Everything is just ammunition, not a stable item. another thing to remember is that while throwing weapons can have their damage reduced by 50% by blocking, the attack still goes through. So if you have an opponent that's turtling up and they're low on health, just throw a weapon. You don't even have to charge it. It just honestly throws a lot of people off guard if you just instantly throw the weapon. They probably think the game is broken and that it's going through their block and you did a melee attack, but the instant attacks from a thrown weapon are so quick that it really confuses people and it gets through a lot of turtling. So if you're kind of too far away to shove, don't be afraid to just throw a weapon point blank. So I know it was kind of a short video, but those are most of the basic tips to get you started on a Golden Arm build. Another thing I forgot to mention is you definitely want to have the highest damage weapons at all times. So even if a weapon has, 3-star wound, but it has 6 to 18 damage, you're always going to want, an 8 to 27 or something like that, because the base damage is really all that matters in these types of builds. You hit hard in a single time, so that's definitely what you want to go for. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got. If you have any questions or comments, obviously just post them in the comments or on Reddit or whatever. But I appreciate you guys watching, and until next time.